call the meeting of the Borough of River Edge, Mayor and Council, regular meeting, revised agenda, 6:30 p.m., April 26, 2021. Ask all to stand and offer a moment of silence for all those who we care about most dearly and all those in greatest need. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Statement of compliance with the Open Public Meeting Act. This meeting complies with the Open Public Meeting Act by notification on January 8th of this location, date, and time to the Ridgewood News and the Record, and by posting of the same on Municipal Bulletin Board and Borough website, and filing a notice of the same with the Municipal Clerk. Miss O'Connell, Mrs. O'Connell, would you please call the roll? Sorry.
Here.
Councilman Candido.
Here.
Councilman Gaudier.
Here.
Councilwoman Hausman.
Here.
Councilwoman Kinsella is absent for prior notice. Councilwoman Montesano Cohen.
Here.
And Mayor Papaleo.
Here. All right, very good. So we have 2 minutes. Could I have a motion from Council President Canigo and a second from Councilwoman Bastide to approve the minutes of the Mayor and Council regular meeting of April 12, 2021?
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Roll call.
Yes.
Councilman Candido.
Yes.
Councilman Gaudier.
Yes.
Councilwoman Hausman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Montesano Cohen.
Yes.
Okay, could I have Councilman Gaudier move and Councilwoman Kaufman second to approve the minutes of the Mayor and Council special meeting April 19, 2021?
So moved.
It has been moved and seconded. Roll call.
Councilwoman Bastide.
Yes.
Councilman Candido.
Yes.
Councilman Gaudier.
Yes.
Councilwoman Hausman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Montesano Cohen.
Yes.
Okay, item number 6 on the agenda, public comment on any item of the agenda. Could I have Councilwoman Montesano Cohen move and Council President Canigo second to open to the public on items of the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Yes.
Councilman Candido.
Yes.
Councilman Gaudier.
Yes.
Councilwoman Hausman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Montesano Cohen.
Yes.
Okay, we are now open to public. I surrender the meeting to Councilwoman Kaufman, our moderator.
So if anyone has a question, you can just raise your hand and I will allow you to speak or type it in the chat box.
Mayor, if I might, we do have a member of the public. We have Liz Smith with us. She's later on the agenda, but I wonder, since it's on the agenda, if we might ask her if she'd like to go now, rather than have to wait till the end of the meeting. Liz?
I have no objection, Councilwoman. Does any member of council have an objection? Mr. Sarlo, is this permissible?
Yes, Mayor.
So it's up to
Very well.
Liz if she'd like to do that.
Liz, if you'd like to do that, please say your name and your address, and you will be recognized.
You're muted.
Sorry. It's Liz Davis. Actually, there was a little mistake there. 291 Monroe Avenue in River Edge.
All right, Liz, you're recognized. Feel free to speak.
Okay, we were planning, and it's just kind of a I need your guidance on it. For Stigma Free, that we would do a concert at Memorial Park. My husband and his bandmate. No, you have to. My husband and his bandmate are, they perform locally, and they would do a free concert for awareness. We thought it would start around 5. We'd give a few words about.
Am I coming?
No, you are. Can you?
You're not?
No, you're not. You have to go
Why?
upstairs because I'm at a meeting. Sorry. For awareness for Stigma Free and some of the initiatives that we have in place in River Edge. We would start with a little bit of a couple of people speaking, and then they would do the concert. We would just be supplying water and maybe some just contained snacks. That was one of the ideas, or nothing, just water is fine. And then everyone would, I don't know about the guidance with the masks. We'll do whatever you guys think is appropriate, whether just people go and gather in just like groups by family and social distance. And we have a following, so I could get the word out. But anyway, looking for your guidance here because first time for me doing this, and I told the Stigma Free Committee that I would just kind of run by, but it's pretty simple. They would probably play from about 5:30 to 8 at the most.
So for the public's edification and for the council's reference, this is item 16C on the revised agenda. Stigma-free event at Memorial Park on May 22nd. Before the council weighs in with questions, Liz, and the council doesn't need to make a decision at this time. They could wait until we come to new business, but this is a time for for them to ask you questions. The governor has changed some rules regarding outside events today. I know that our business administrator, Ms. Aportella, is looking at the details surrounding that. Those changes go into effect on May 10th. In addition to that, we, of course, so far have been following either the rules of the state, of course, or making the rules slightly more safety-minded. So that's our history right now. So I want you to be aware of that. Is there any member of council who would like to ask Liz a question about this event? Councilwoman Bastide, do you wish to speak first, since you had asked for Liz to have this opportunity? I wanted to give you preference.
Sure, thank you. I believe that Mrs. Awida, who's also working on the committee, mentioned that they would be willing to have pre-registration if that's something that we would want to consider. So they would cap the attendees at a certain number. She committed to comply with all of our social distancing requirements, as well as the wearing of face coverings. So I just wanted to share her willingness to, comply with whatever safety measures we thought we would like to see. As I mentioned at our last meeting, when we approved the library concert, I would like to be able to see us bringing these types of programs to our community in a safe manner, and especially with the fact that the governor has announced an increase in outdoor capacity. I hope that we can come up with a way to help the Stigma Free Committee move forward.
All right. Any member of council like to raise their hand, either physically or in system, and ask a question of Liz? Offer a comment. Council President Canico.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree with Councilwoman Bastide that certainly we want to try to make these things, get back to normalcy and make these things available to everybody. My only concern would be that we adhere to whatever the guidelines are, including mask wearing. I think we're going to have a lot of these questions being brought up to us. And I think in the past, we have said that some sort of plan has to be submitted to whatever department would be overseeing this. I guess this would be a rec department overseeing this, to make sure that whatever plans are in place are there. And I don't know what the governor's new mandates are as of today, so I can't speak to that. But however they will make sure that the governor's mandates that are in effect at the time, and they could change again, as we all know, are followed. So if the limit is, I don't know, is it 200 now? How are you going to make sure that it's limited to the 200 people? And if stragglers come and it's more than 200, what's the plan for making sure that we don't go over that threshold? Unfortunately, New Jersey is still in the very high risk zone, in the red zone, and nothing's changed there. So, that's just my thought. I think a plan should be submitted to REC, stating all the things that whatever organization is asking us to approve is willing to do to make sure that all the guidelines are adhered to.
Any other member of council would like to ask a question or make a comment?
I do, Mr. Mayor. I agree with the council president, and if last meeting we approved the concert for the library, so I think the same requirements that we impose on the library should be considered, which was the plan to council president's point, the registration, and I believe that we also required the mitigation plans, which is I think what council president is requiring. So I would agree with that we match the requirements that we set forth for the library concert as well.
All right. Any other member of council? So Liz, we may talk about this a little bit more when we get to the end of the agenda, but I think basically, if I'm understanding the council, is we're in support of this, as long as it meets the guidelines that the governor has set down. So I would work with Carolyn Baldanza, our rec director, and our BA, Lizette Apertella, and submit a request. And I think that this council is very, very, very open to that. At least I believe from what I'm hearing.
I'm just thinking, like, maybe we could cordon off that area in front of the band, just kind of like, just to kind
All
of.
those details you can work out with Carolyn and Ms. Baldanza and Ms. Apertella. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. And we're looking forward to it.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thanks.
Any other member of the public would like to speak?
Mayor, I hope I'm not out of order, but we have another member of the public who's here to speak on an agenda item, and I wonder if we would entertain her now so she could leave as well.
Sure. And who is that?
That's Lauren Cerullo from the Junior Women's Club.
Hi.
All right. Hey, Lauren. Lauren, please state your full name and address.
Lauren Cerullo, 162 Valley Road in River Edge.
Very good, Lauren. Lauren, for the public's edification and for the council's reference, you are, I believe, referring to agenda item 16A, Junior Women's Club request to conduct a townwide garage sale. Is that correct?
Yes.
Feel free to speak.
So yeah, we were hoping to do the townwide garage sale again this year. We've done it for a long time. As long as I've been in the club, we've been doing it. We usually do it the first weekend in June. Last year, obviously, we did not do that in June, but we were able to do it in August last year. We received the approval to do the townwide garage sale. It was a smaller turnout than years past, as people were really just starting to, leave their houses at that time. So we were hoping to move it to the first weekend in June this year, the same way that we had done it in years past, because it also correlates. We received the approval from Oradell to do their townwide garage sale the second weekend in June. We usually try to do them back-to-back weekends. So we were seeking the approval to do June 5th with a rain date of June 6th.
All right. Is any member of council like to ask a question or make a comment? Councilman Bastide, do you want to begin?
I think this is an event where social distancing will just be practiced. I think you probably had a plan in place for last year for doing it with COVID requirements. So to Council President Canigo's point, if there's some type of plan you could submit, if you haven't already, then I see no objection. I see no reason to not approve the garage sale on June 5th.
All right. Any other member of council would like to speak to this? All right, Mr. Sarlo, do either of these events require a motion and a second from the council, or is it just by consensus?
Yeah, just by consent, Mayor.
All right, so if there is no objection, again, we would want you to work, Lauren, with the appropriate town member of our staff, make sure that that you come up with a plan that you'll send out, that if you're going to have a garage sale, you have to wear masks, and these are the rules that the governor set down, and this is the expectation when you ask for a permit. And I think if all that's done and all is followed, there is no objection from council, then this would be also generally approved. Council President.
Yeah, just as a note, this is different than a gathering somewhere. These are individual homes and people traveling from home to home. So I don't think quite the same plan needs to be put into place for this. I think this we allowed it last year, even though we were in the midst of COVID, and certainly I see no reason not to. I'm more concerned with any gathering that would bring a large group of people together in close quarters, singing and obviously, breathing out what could be problematic viruses down the line. So I don't think this qualifies as such. So I really see no reason not to just allow it.
Excellent. All right, is there any objection to either the Junior Women's Club request for a townwide garage sale or the stigma-free event at Memorial Park on May 22nd? Is there any objection? Hearing none, so approved.
As long as the stigma-free event follows the procedures we laid out early, because like I said, these are two separate events and different in nature. So with that in mind.
I presume that was the understanding. All right.
So
Great.
I'm just double checking. I don't have to submit a plan to somebody for the garage
you
sale.
Just need to ask for, what do we ask for normally? A permit?
Yeah, so our flyer says they have to register with us, and then they have to obtain their own garage sale permit from Borough Hall. So that information is all on the flyer. And then we can also add on there that the masks must be worn for all garage sale attendees and homeowners.
Great.
Good. Yeah.
If I may, the organization just needs to provide a certificate of liability insurance as required by our risk manager. That's the only document required by the group.
For the garage sale?
Yes.
So it's at like all private homes? So the people who are doing the garage sales?
No, it would be your group, the Junior Women's Club. Since everybody's registering with you, then you provide a certificate of liability insurance. I see that was in the paperwork from last year. Our risk manager is requiring that for events.
So to get a COI for an individual event, you need to have an address, and this is at like 45 different homes that we are not actually at. So what the garage sale, the participants are they're doing their own garage sale. That's why they're obtaining their own permits from the borough. What they're registering through us, we put together a map that shows all of the garage sales that are occurring that day.
No, it would be under the women's club. So whether it's a physical address or a PO box, it would just be under additional insured. You'd put the borough of River Edge, and then under the description, it would be townwide garage sale June 5th with a rain date of June 6th.
Council President, can you go did you want to say something in regards to this conversation?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I was just going to suggest, Lizette, maybe you can put Lauren in touch with Ezio
Mhm.
and he and Lauren can work it out. I'm sure as will make it very easy for you.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Anything else, Lauren?
Nope, that's it.
All right, great.
Thank you.
All right, then, thank you for that. Is there any other member of the public who would like to speak to an item?
It does not look like it.
All right, then could I have a motion from Councilman Bastide and a second from Councilman Gordier to close to the public on items on the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilwoman Bastide,
Yes.
Councilman Kaniza,
Yes.
Councilman Gordier,
Yes.
Councilwoman Houseman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Montesano Pellis.
Yes.
All right, the next item is Resolution 21-133, adopting a 2021 municipal budget. Hold on. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Actually, it's number 7, resolution to read the budget by title only. So could I have Councilwoman Kaufman, our chair of the Budget Committee, please read the resolution into the record, and then one member of the Finance Committee second.
Sure. Whereas NJS 40A 4-8 permits that the budget as advertised may be read by its title, providing that at least 1 week prior to the date of the hearing, a complete copy of the approved budget shall A, be posted in a public place where public notices are customarily posted, and B, is made available to each person requesting the same during said week and during the public hearing. And whereas the Borough of River Edge has complied with the aforesaid requirements, now therefore be it resolved that the municipal budget for the year ending December 31, 2021 shall be read by title only. So moved.
Second.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Bastide,
Yes.
Councilman Kaniza,
Yes.
Councilman Gordier,
Yes.
Councilwoman Houseman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Montesano Pellis.
Yes.
Okay, we now have our item number 8, hearing on 2021 municipal budget, open to the public. So, so let us make that motion. So could I have Councilwoman Kaufman make that motion and Councilwoman Montesano Cohen second?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Yes.
Councilman Kaniza,
Yes.
Councilman Gordier,
Yes.
Councilwoman Houseman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Montesano Pellis.
Yes.
Okay, before we give the public an opportunity to ask questions, why don't we get a summary from our CFO, Mr. Battaglia?
Thanks, Mayor. So, we went through the budget process. It was a collaborative team effort here. We had a couple of Saturday meetings with the CBAC. Most recently, we went through budget review. This is something that happens every 3 years. So in this particular year, we know that we have the state's blessing in writing that they approve our budget, unlike in previous years, where we would have a self-review and we would certify ourselves that the budget is in compliance with everything. The net result was a budget with an annual increase under $100, actually well below $100 if you use the adjusted mean after making some changes to the tax duplicate, which is lower than it was for the last 2 years that I've been involved. And I think that we've accomplished everything that we're looking to accomplish this year. So all good news.
Great. Ms. Appertella, do you have any comments before we open to the public?
Well, our auditor, Jim Cerullo, somehow moved from panelists to attendees. But overall, I just want to echo what Chris said. It was a great collaborative effort, team effort. Our Saturday meetings were extremely productive. The committee had very thoughtful, deliberative questions, and Chris, we have a rock star for a CFO. He answered everything thoroughly and broke down local finance law into an understandable concept in everyday language. And we're in good shape. I'm very proud of this budget and of the governing body and the committee and our departments.
Wonderful. Jim Cirillo, Jim and Mr. Cirillo, if you'd like to offer a comment, you're welcome to do so.
Hi, Mr. Mayor, council members. Normally, our firm has been the auditor there probably for, past the 15 to 20 years. My partner, Steve Wilcox, who's the named auditor. He has another public hearing where there's more involvement of the auditor. You guys, between when you had Alan and now you have Chris, putting together your budgets, you really hardly ever needed us except to conduct the audit. And again, I review everything, put it on the state form. As Chris said, the state did review your budget. They gave it its blessing this year. I really have much to say that you guys are, in good shape, and everything seems well run there as it has been all the years that we've been doing the audit.
Excellent. Thank you for saying that. Councilwoman Kaufman led our Budget Finance Committee. If you'd like to call out those members of the committee, and if you'd like to make a comment, Councilwoman, please feel free to do so.
Okay, so the Finance Committee is made up of myself, President Canigo, and Councilman Gautier. And thank you again to all of our departments for their hard work, to our CFO, to our BA, and everyone else. Thank you so much.
Great. I'd like to offer a special thanks to our citizens and our Citizens Budget Committee, who gave up their time on 2 weekends for about 6 hours each, I believe it ended up being, or something close to that. They did a great job helping us to craft a budget that was not just fiscally sound, but reasonable, and that met the needs of the public as citizens themselves. I'd like to thank Mr. Cirillo, Mr. Baglitelli, Ms. Apportella, Councilwoman Kaufman, Councilman Canigo, Councilman Gautier, as well as the other members of the council, and Mr. Sarlo, who attended those meetings, and our public for doing a great job in keeping River Edge on the straight and narrow. And so thank you very, very much. Councilwoman Kaufman, is there any member of the public who would like to ask a question?
So if you do have any questions about the budget, just raise your hand and I will allow you to speak and/or type it in the chat box. Does not look like there are any questions.
All right, then could I have Councilman Gautier move and Councilwoman Bastide second to close to the public on a hearing on the 2021 municipal budget?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Yes.
Councilman Canigo,
Yes.
Councilman Gautier,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kaufman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Montesano.
Yes.
All right, could I have Councilwoman Kaufman read and move a resolution 21-133, adoption 2021 municipal budget? Could I have Council President Canigo second that?
Yes, adopting 2021 municipal budget. Be it resolved by the mayor and council of the borough of River Edge that the attached 2021 local municipal budget is hereby adopted. So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. It is open for debate. Is there debate? Hearing none, we will call the question. Roll call.
Yes.
Councilman Kaniga,
Yes.
Councilman Godier,
Yes.
Councilwoman Townsend,
Yes.
Councilwoman Montalban-Macron.
Yes.
All right, the adopted 2021 municipal budget by unanimous vote and by outstanding efforts on all. Thank you very, very much. We move to item number 10, monthly reports. There are at least 2 monthly reports that we'd like to bring to the public's attention. If they'd like to get a copy, they're welcome to do so. The Library Board of Trustees from April 13th, 2021, and the Land Use Board March 24th, 2021. Also, the Land Use Board and the council meetings are put on channel 33 for Verizon. And Michelle, do you remember what the station is on Cablevision?
I think it's 77.
77. So 33 on Verizon, 77 on Cablevision. It's in a loop. So if you'd ever like to see, if you ever would like to review or see them, the most recent ones are placed there. Plus, they're all placed on our YouTube, Borough of River Edge.
76. Channel 76.
76.
Sorry.
76. Okay, great. So now we come to the first reading, ordinance 21-19, ordinance authorizing execution of access easement for sanitary sewage line on lot 33 and block 302. Could I have that moved by Councilman Bastide and second by Councilman Godier?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. This is a simple first reading, which means it's not open to public debate, but Ms. Apratella, could you please explain to the public the purpose of this ordinance?
Yes, the borough received an access agreement to be signed, to be executed, but in order to do so, under Title 12 of the state statutes, the municipality needs to adopt an ordinance. So after a public hearing and adoption on May 10th, then this easement agreement can be executed and the property owner can record it with the county.
All right, this is open to debate by council. Is there debate? Hearing none, roll call.
Councilman Bastide,
Yes.
Councilman Kaniga,
Yes.
Councilman Godier,
Yes.
Councilwoman Townsend,
Yes.
Councilwoman Montalban-Macron.
Yes.
So for the public's edification, all ordinances have to go through 2 readings. At the second reading, which will be at the next meeting of the mayor and council, there will be an opportunity for the public to ask questions or make comments before it's voted upon. Move to item number 12, second reading and hearing on ordinances. Ordinance 21-16, an ordinance to fix the salary, wage, and compensation of the officers and employees of the Borough of River Edge in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey for the year 2021. Could I have Councilwoman Montesano Cohen move and Councilwoman Kaufman second to open to the public?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilwoman Bastide,
Yes.
Councilwoman Bastide.
Councilman Kaniga,
Yes.
Councilman Godier,
Yes.
Councilwoman Townsend,
Yes.
Councilwoman Montalban-Macron.
Yes.
All right, so before we ask the public for questions and comments, Ms. Apratella, could you please just offer a brief summary?
Yes, this ordinance, what it does, it combines the title of an existing employee that was receiving a stipend. This is to consolidate the position and the appropriate salary compensation. And this was reviewed and approved by the Personnel Committee.
All right. I turn the meeting to Councilman Kaufman, our moderator for the public input.
So again, if you have any questions, just raise your hand and I will allow you to speak or type your question in the chat box. Do not appear to be any questions.
Very good. Could I have Councilman Gaudier move and Councilman Bastide second to close to the public?
So moved.
Second,
Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Bastide,
yes.
Councilman Kamiga,
Yes.
Councilman Gaudier,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kaufman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Montesano.
Yes.
Okay, we are now closed to the public. We need a motion to adopt. Could I ask Council President Kanigo to move for adoption and Councilman Montesano in second?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilwoman,
Oh, I'm sorry, hold on. This is open to debate, I apologize. Is there debate? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
Councilman Kamiga,
Yes.
Councilman Gaudier,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kaufman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Montesano.
Yes.
Okay, that has been approved. Now we move to ordinance 21-17, bond ordinance to authorize the improvement of Beaufort Road, Section 5, in and by and for the Borough of River Edge in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $319,000 to pay the cost thereof and to appropriate a state grant, to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriations, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds. Could I have Councilwoman Kaufman move and Councilman Gaudier second to open to the public for ordinance 21-17?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Bastide,
Yes.
Councilman Kamiga,
Yes.
Councilman Gaudier,
Yes.
Councilman Kaufman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Montesano.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kaufman, we are open to the public. In a moment, I'll ask you to moderate that. Ms. Apatella, if you could just give us a brief summary.
Yes, as we adopted our budget a few moments ago, including the budget is a capital budget. And what this bond ordinance and the next one does, it allows the borough to make the proper expenditures for the projects associated in the budget. And it's split into, because this one, 21-17, this bond ordinance includes financing through a state grant. So there is no down payment required. And the next one, 21-18, is the multi-purpose bond ordinance for all various projects that does include a down payment.
So again,
Okay, go ahead, Michelle, sorry.
any questions? Just raise your hand and I will call on you or type the question in the chat box. Does not look like there are any questions.
Very good. Councilwoman Bastide, would you please move, and Council President Kanigo, would you second to close to the public?
So moved.
Second.
This is not debatable. Roll call.
Councilwoman Bastide,
Yes.
Councilman Kamiga,
Yes.
Councilman Gaudier,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kaufman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Montesano.
Yes.
Okay, we are now open for adoption. Could I have Council President Kanigo move and Councilwoman Bastide second to adopt 21-17?
So moved.
Second,
This is debatable. Is there debate? Hearing none, roll call.
Councilwoman Bastide,
yes.
Councilman Kamiga,
Yes.
Councilman Gaudier,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kaufman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Montesano Cohen.
Yes.
Okay, now we move to 12C, Ordinance 21-18, a bond ordinance to authorize the making of various public improvements and the acquisition of new additions or replacement equipment and machinery, new information technology equipment, new communication and signal system equipment, and new fire truck, partial funding, and the new automotive vehicles, including original apparatus and equipment in and by and for the Borough of River Edge in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $3,435,561 to pay the cost thereof and to appropriate Borough Open Space Trust Funds and a county grant to make a down payment to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriation and to provide for the issuance of bonds anticipation notes in anticipation of such bonds. Could I have Councilman Gaudier move and Councilwoman Kaufman second to open to the public for Ordinance 21-18?
So moved.
This is not debatable. Roll call.
Councilwoman Liston.
Yes.
Councilman Kamiga.
Yes.
Councilman Gaudier.
Yes.
Yes.
Councilwoman Montesano Cohen.
Yes.
Okay, we're open to the public. Councilman Kaufman.
Once again, any questions, just raise your hand and I will allow you to speak or type your question in the chat box. I do not see any questions.
All right. Could I have Councilwoman Montesano Cohen move and Councilman Gaudier second to close to the public?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is not debatable. Roll call.
Councilwoman Liston.
Yes.
Councilman Kamiga.
Yes.
Councilman Gaudier.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kaufman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Montesano Cohen.
Yes.
Could I have Councilman Bastide move and Councilwoman Montesano Cohen second to adopt Ordinance 21-18?
So moved.
Second.
This is debatable. We are open for debate. Is there debate? Hearing none, roll call.
Councilwoman Liston.
Yes.
Councilman Kamiga.
Yes.
Councilman Gaudier.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kaufman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Montesano Cohen.
Yes.
We have resolutions 21-134 through 21-137. Is there objection to moving them as a block? If not, I will call on a first and a second. Is there objection? No member of council wishes to hold anything out, so we'll move them as a block. Could I have Council President Kanigo move and Councilman Kaufman second, 21-134 through 21-137?
So moved.
Second.
This is now open for debate. Is there debate? Hearing none, roll call.
Councilwoman Liston.
Yes.
Councilman Kamiga.
Yes.
Councilman Gaudier.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kaufman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Montesano Cohen.
Yes.
Could I have Councilwoman Kaufman move 21-138 and Councilman Gaudier second?
Yes, at a regular meeting of the Mayor and Council of the Borough of River Edge, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, held on April 26, 2021. Be it resolved that the Mayor and Council of the Borough of River Edge approve the following expenditures. Current fund, $273,966.78. Capital fund, $46,313.72. Grant fund, $1,130.85. Trust other fund, $10,700. Open space fund, $430.77. Developers escrow fund, $735. Recreation Trust Fund, $1,065. So moved.
Second.
This is open for debate. Is there any debate or comment? Hearing none, roll call.
Councilwoman Matee,
Yes.
Councilman Kaniga,
Yes.
Councilman Bozzier,
Yes.
Councilman Thompson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Montesano,
Yes.
Okay, that passes. We are now into old business, tabled ordinance 21-15. Council President, would you like to speak to that? Would you be comfortable with that, or should, go ahead.
Sure. This is the ordinance which will prohibit for the time being any cannabis-related business in our town. We do so not because we are weighing in at this time on whether we want businesses in town or not. We have a cannabis committee that is reviewing the law, reviewing everything having to do with it, and will make a recommendation to the council down the line. However, as the law is currently written, if we do not opt out at this time, if we take no action, then we will not be able to take any action for 5 years. So by opting out of all cannabis-related businesses at this time, we prevent that from happening, and then we can revisit the question as the mayor and council sees fit. Going forward, and as various towns approve it or deny it, we can kind of take the pulse of what's happening in our state before we make an ultimate decision here in town. I think it's the most prudent course of action at this time. We will continue to work with the Cannabis Committee to come up with a recommendation for the council at a future date as to how to actually address this new law here in town. But for the time being, it's the caution. It's more cautious for us to take this path. So I would urge that we go ahead and adopt the ordinance. So I would make the motion.
Excuse me.
Go ahead, Lizette.
Since this is a tabled item to continue discussion, there has to be a motion, second, and roll call to remove from the table. And then after discussion, if the governing body wishes to introduce, then it goes to the regular motion process.
I'll make that motion.
Very good. So we have a motion to remove it from the table.
Yes.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. It is open for debate. Is there debate? Hearing none, roll call.
Councilwoman Matee,
Yes.
Councilman Kaniga,
Yes.
Councilman Bozzier,
Yes.
Councilwoman Costin,
Yes.
Councilwoman Montesano Cohen,
Yes.
Okay, it's been removed from the table, and so now we need a motion and second for it to be returned to a first reading. Is that correct, Ms. Apatow?
Yes.
Okay. So we need a motion and second, and then we would debate it. Is there a motion?
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. It is now open for debate. Is there any debate in regards of returning ordinance 21-15 to a first reading?
Can I just ask a question?
Hearing-
Tom, I'm sorry.
Absolutely,
Mayor?
this is the time.
Um,
Yeah, no, this is the time.
So Council President Kanigo, you had some reservations at our last meeting. Are your reservations gone now? I just want to make.
Yeah, I would say.
You're
I would say
comfortable
that
moving forward.
I'm comfortable
Okay,
moving forward.
all right, great, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so is there any other question, comment, or debate? Seeing none, roll call.
Councilwoman Matee,
Yes.
Judy, let's say it a little bit louder. because you're being picked up on my mic. Go ahead.
Councilman Kanigo,
Yes.
Councilman Bozzier,
Yes.
Councilwoman Cosmic,
Yes.
Councilwoman Montesano Combs,
Yes.
All right, so now we go to item B, senior transportation. Ms. Appertella, I'm sorry. Is there something new, or does any member of council wish to discuss this old business item?
Well, the purpose this was put on was initially to resume the transportation service. It would be through a phased-in approach, but based on the number of registrants, there is not enough activity to resume the service if just doing it through vaccination appointments only. And initially, our DPW superintendent recommended expanding it to regular doctor's appointments. But even with that, that doesn't generate enough activity. So in order to resume the service, it has to be resumed to its full service program with the doctor's visits, the shopping, but still at the same time maintaining social distancing and limiting the number of passengers. However, I don't have that blanket authority to let the coordinator do all that scheduling and reach out to the seniors. That's why it's brought before the governing body.
So let me just add a little bit of that. I'm in regular contact with our OEM coordinator, former police chief Ron Strace, and he has been diligent in working to make sure that all of our at-risk and homebound at-risk are receiving vaccinations. That vaccinations are being need is being met in the town, and so I can affirm what Ms. Apatella has said, that there really isn't a need or a demand for COVID transportation because it's been pretty much all handled brilliantly by our health office and by Mr. Strace. So that leaves doctor visits, and there isn't enough, as she has said. So either we are going to keep the senior transportation closed, or we're going to open it. So that is what the council needs to consider. Either we open it or we keep it closed. So it's open for debate and discussion.
So what, do we have a list of people who might use it and need it?
So far, they have only 11 seniors that have registered. The transportation coordinator cross-checks the list with the public health nurse. So if it's anticipated that the program would expand to all its other activities, then they anticipate that more seniors will register and sign off on the hold harmless forms.
I would say this. If our resident seniors need it for transport to doctors, we should reopen it for that purpose. For shopping, I'm not quite sure that it's yet the time to do so. But doctor's visits are important, obviously, and if our seniors don't have another way of getting to the doctors, staying at home might, detrimentally affect them, obviously. So I'd be willing to do it for doctors and therapy visits, things of that nature.
Well, the other part of the issue is if there's not enough activity, we cannot secure a driver. We have to provide the 29 hours of transportation service. If we cannot do that, then we won't have a driver.
So that's why it's an either or option. These are our drivers are not really salary drivers; they're hourly drivers. For them to be a part of it, they're looking reasonably so that they would have enough hours that would make it worth it for them. So it's pretty much an all or nothing thing. If the council is not ready at this time, then it remains shut down. If the council is willing, with all the appropriate COVID restrictions, to open it up, then we have a driver, and when we have a driver, then we can provide the service.
I'm not trying to be argumentative here, but why
No,
can't we
no.
find a different driver to drive if it's only going to be 10 hours? This way we can provide the seniors with the service. You know, I don't see why we're letting drivers dictate what we do here.
I don't think they're dictating it. I just think it's a matter of their own personal economy. Councilman Bastide.
Well, I was just to say, if we have, can we let demand drive the need? I mean, if we have 11 residents who have said that they would take advantage of the service, then let's find a resource to provide it. Am I missing something? Maybe I'm missing something from the conversation, but you know, 11 residents is 11 residents. And if they say that they need the service, then, and we have a resource to provide it and we can do so safely, I don't see why we wouldn't.
Agreed.
Ms. Apatella?
I would have to go back and check with the transportation coordinator and the DPW superintendent. I know with the main driver, if there's not 29 hours, he won't be able to provide the service to the borough. I know they were working on a backup driver. I would just have to find out that person's availability if the current need is sufficient.
Okay, so
reasonable.
essentially, that's the motion or unofficial motion. Is the rest of the council in support of that? Is there any further debate? If the rest of the council is support, Lizette will go back and determine whether we can get it up. If not, it will come back as old business at the next council meeting.
I think it would be a good idea just to see how many seniors would like the grocery service if it was available. Do you need permission to do that?
No, I mean,
I agree.
surveying would be fine. So that would, Ms. Apatella, if you could ask Jason and the coordinator to determine that and come back to the council. So for right now, the council is leaving the transportation closed unless we can get a driver to open it. So if we can get a driver to open it, it will open for doctor's opinions and appointments, and we'll also find out if there is enough people for food delivery, and it will return as old business. Is that acceptable to the council?
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yes.
All right. Cannabis Committee, Council President, would you like to speak to that?
I don't think there's much of an update. At the last meeting, we were given a presentation by Officer Renata about her findings with respect to having spoken to different providers in Colorado. The Cannabis Committee tasked her with going back and checking out some of these dispensaries in Massachusetts being a little closer to us than Colorado, and a little more like us in general than Colorado. And we have a meeting tomorrow at 7:30. So there's not a lot to report, but the Cannabis Committee is working, doing their due diligence, trying to do their research. And at some point, we hope that we'll be able to go for a tour of one of these medical dispensaries currently, and hopefully one that is being converted also to a recreational, so that we can really see for ourselves and understand what it is that we're looking at when we're talking about retail and manufacturing and the other sub portions of the law.
Okay, is there any question from anyone else on council? All right, so we have extension of the temporary outdoor seating. Mr. Sarlo, if you could speak to that. I had asked for this to be placed on the agenda because I'm concerned that the governor may, in the next couple of months, not be continuing the emergency executive order. And I want to make sure that our businesses that are have currently rented or purchased tents would not lose the opportunity. Plus, I believe it's coming to a closure on June 15th. So, Mr. Sarlo, if you could speak to that.
Yeah, Mayor, you've extended it one time to allow outdoor dining. and it is expiring on June 15th. Today, the mayor the governor, I believe, increased indoor capacity to 50%. So there's going to be 50% indoor dining. However, obviously, it's still not at 100%. So it is for your consideration. You have until June 15th if you want to extend it a couple more months and then revisit this issue later in the year. You certainly can do that.
Mr. Sarlo, what about making it a permanent option, like some of the ordinances or resolutions that shore communities do? How might we look at that?
You have an outdoor dining ordinance on your books, so it is a permanent right now. If you want to relax or you want to amend that, right now we are suspending that outdoor dining ordinance because this is a lot more looser. You're allowing outdoor dining in the parking lot. So it depends, Mayor, what you want to accomplish with allowing additional outdoor dining. If you're just going to allow them to say, hey, look, they can continue doing as is right now forever, that runs into some issues because there's tents in parking lots. If they go to 100% indoor, you're going to have some zoning issues with regard to parking and so forth like that. But you do allow outdoor dining right now. It is on your books. It is a restrictive ordinance. If you want to increase that capacity, take a look at that. You certainly can do that, but you do allow it right now.
Okay. So if we were to consider maybe being less stringent in our outdoor dining, would that first go to the land use board, or would that first be something the council should consider?
You could do it either way. Either way, it's going to go to the planning board. I would probably say so we don't go to the planning board twice with it. You guys may want to take a look at it, make your findings and send it to them, get their findings, and then you guys can act on it. If you send it to them, you come back, you either revise it or you tweak it a little bit. It's got to go back to them. So you're doing it twice.
All right. So what I'm suggesting to the council, to everyone on council tonight, is that we invite our business owners, those who are using tents and those who have used the tents in the past. And we ask them to come to the next council meeting to give us input on what they would like to see. But as for right now, what I'd like for us to do is to extend the tent dining through, say, September 30th. And then invite them either in one of our May or one of our June meetings. I think one of our May, because if Mr. Sarlo needs to craft some sort of language, it then needs to go to the land use board and then needs to come back to us. But we wouldn't be extending it. If we wanted to do something outdoor dining and we wanted to allow maybe some sort of tent or some sort of enlarged dining that could occur, say, April through September, it would not be happening until next year if we were willing to extend this resolution, this suspension and resolution through September 30th. Well, anyone's thoughts on that?
Mayor, I would also suggest that you send the ordinance to Tom Behrens and get his thoughts from a zoning perspective on what could and cannot be done on extending it. I mean, right now you have tents in the middle of a parking lot. When you do go back to 100%, you're going to have some issues with your cars coming into the lot. Right now, in the ordinance, there's a lot of safety restrictions with regard to cars and people dining. And those are very relaxed right now. So you may want to ask him, here's the ordinance with an eye towards increasing outdoor capacity. How can that go about? Or have him at the meeting for the owners, because the restaurant owners are certainly going to say, yeah, give us everything. Let us put tents up in the entire parking lot. Let cars park wherever they want. That may not be doable. So I think Mr. Behrens, from a zoning perspective, will be very instrumental here.
All right. So I see two pieces here. I see first the extension of our current resolution. Mr. Sarlo, would you weigh in? Do you think September 30th is too far, or is that acceptable?
So we have language in the resolution that you're able to come back and bring speed up the timetable. So you're able to, if you go to September 15th, September 30th, if you need to, you have the ability to, I believe it's a 30-day notice to restrict it. But I think it'll probably, I think that's, you're going also on what the executive orders are going. So, that yeah, I'm fine with that.
All right. Councilwoman Bastide.
Not to play devil's advocate, but I would consider extending it into October, quite honestly. I think the weather is really beautiful in October. I think even if the governor increases it to 100% inside, you're still going to find people who would prefer to sit outside. I would like to see it extended to like October 15th or something a future date.
I agree.
I agree with Councilwoman Bastide. I think, for this year, people are still going to want to be able to eat outdoors in order to feel comfortable.
Okay. Councilman Gaudier?
I also agree. Thank you, Mayor.
Council President, Councilwoman Montesano Cohen, did I see your hand?
Yeah, no, I agree with that extending also.
Okay. Council President Kaniga?
Yeah, I was going to suggest October 30th as well.
I think that's even better. I was being conservative, but I think that's great. All right, Mr. Sarlo, can we just make a verbal motion in a second, or do we need to put it on agenda next meeting?
No, I believe the ordinance, the resolution, I don't know if Lizette sent it around to everybody. You can add it you can adopt it today and we can insert that date. We left it blank until you guys decided. We have time, so if you want to do it tonight or you just want to do it next month, that's fine too.
No, let's do it tonight if that's acceptable. All right, could I have a motion to extend to October 30th?
I think we need a motion. I'm sorry, Mayor. Why don't you do a motion to add the resolution, which would be what? Resolution 21-139 onto the agenda first?
So moved.
Could we make it October 31st? That's a Sunday, rather than cut them off in the middle of a weekend.
Yeah. So as amended, it's been moved by Councilman Gaudier to Resolution 21-139. Could we have a second?
Second.
It's been seconded. We are open for debate. Is there debate? Hearing none, roll call.
I'm going to say yes. I think she probably did.
She called you.
Okay, yes.
Councilman Kaniga.
Yes.
Councilman Gaudier.
Yes.
Councilwoman Houseman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Montesano Cole.
Yes.
Okay, so now we've extended, or do we need another motion, Mr. Sarlo? Are we good?
Yeah, that was a motion to amend that, to put the resolution on the agenda. So now we need a motion to approve that.
Okay, excellent. So could I have a motion from Councilwoman Bastide and a second from Councilman Gaudier?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it is open for debate. It's been moved and seconded. Is there debate? Hearing none, a loud roll call.
Councilwoman Bastide.
Yes.
Councilman Kaniga.
Yes.
Councilman Gaudier.
Yes.
Councilwoman Houseman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Montesano Cole.
Yes.
Wonderful. Councilwoman Kaufman, if you can please put this on the website, and if you could work with if you could work with the Shop Local initiative, which you have spearheaded, to make sure that our business owners know that we're extended through October 31st.
Will do.
Excellent. Very, very good. Now, Ms. Apatella, could you please reach out to Mr. Chukowski, and would you please ask him, as our borough attorney, Mr. Solo, has suggested, to consider how we might extend outdoor dining with or without tents, what would be the parameters, so that he might craft a memo that could come back to the council for the next meeting. Could you also please invite our current tent, those who have, through the building department, if you could have the building department send, or could the clerk send a letter to those people who have looked for tents to be invited in, at whether they're still doing it or not, invited to the next council meeting where we could have a discussion about this. And could you place it on for discussion on the next agenda?
Okay, just for clarification, am I reaching out to Brian or to Tom Behrens, or to both?
Both, actually, both would be good. And if they could both offer a memo of their opinions, and if they don't want to do a memo, if they just want to come in person, and or does the council want them in person regardless? Would the council be comfortable with a memo, or would the council feel, because it's still early days and we have until next year to make these changes, maybe just a memo at this time and the public would be enough, and then if we need to call our professionals in, we can always do that. Is that acceptable?
Yes.
I see a lot of money. That's wonderful. Excellent, excellent. So Brian and Tom are welcome, but not required to be here. And if they could draft some sort of guidance through memo that the council could get Thursday before for the next council meeting, so that the council might have some time to look at it. And if they have questions to reach back, they might be able to do that during business hours through you, Ms. Apatella. All right, great. All right, very good. We are now up to new business. We've already done 16A and 16C. So now we're up to 16B, Recreation Camp, Senior Program, July 4th. And I was also, I emailed Ms. Apatella and Ms. Baldanza today about, given what the governor has currently today authored, are there any ideas for Memorial Day that we could consider, recognizing that we might have to look into the details of the governor's executive order? So all of that's on the table. Carolyn, please begin.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. So yeah, I have 3 items for discussion here that I'm just looking for the council's guidance and blessing, I guess, so I could move forward with some of these items. My first one on the list is camp. Last year, we did a modified camp because the guidelines kind of came out late from the state with reopening, and we didn't really have enough time to pull off anything more, but we were able to do a 1-day option. And we had all the protocols in place, and we had our plans and everything according to the guidelines. This year, we would love to be able to offer a 5-day, 3-hour camp day, as close to a normal camp year as we can, with following all state guidelines. They have yet to release the updated guidelines. However, there is a webinar on Wednesday with the state regarding camp. So I am anticipating that following Wednesday, there will be more information out from the state on more guidelines. But currently, we are kind of moving forward with our planning as following last year's guidelines, and then we'll adjust accordingly. So I just wanted your blessing to see if we could go to a 5-day, 3-hour camp. The commission did discuss doing an AM and a PM to possibly split up the group, because in a normal year we have over 300 campers. I've been getting a lot of emails and calls from parents. They're excited and looking forward to camp starting. So I would love to get some more definitive answers out to them in the next coming weeks. And I think the AM and PM is a good option for us to kind of stagger the amount of campers, and then also possibly accommodate others who normally have to choose between the school program, the enrichment program, and the WIN program over camp. So I guess your
Okay,
feedback on that.
Yeah, I'm going to open that up to the council in just a second. If I'm not mistaken, I think the governor changed outdoor events to 50% or 500, not to exceed 500 if the 50% is more than that. The governor also was quite emphatic that he might be even loosening the regulations if we go forward. We had an under 1% rate of infection from all the testing. He felt it was very, very positive, and that as long as we continue to behave ourselves, he thought that he might be doing more updates sooner rather than later. I personally, but it's a council decision. I personally feel that whatever the state's guidelines are, we follow, and if those guidelines allow us to go to an AM/PM 5 day a week, then I think that's the way we should go. But it's a council decision, not mine. So I now open it up. Council President, I think you've unmuted yourself. Go ahead.
No, I think it's a good idea, especially the AM/PM. You know, the kids are playing sports now, mostly without masks. Anyway, they're in the parks. They're riding bikes together. This is for the kids, so might as well. And in fact, I think the AM/PM thing today might maybe bode to a full day camp maybe in the years coming. I know a lot of parents would really like that, and you know, this could be a good test run for that. So I would be in favor of what our director has proposed.
I agree, Mr. Mayor.
Councilwoman
In the meeting that was discussed, and as a parent, I've always wanted the camp to be longer. So this gives the opportunity, and it gives Caroline the time to formulate then a full day program if this is successful. I do want to say though that you know, there's more into this than Caroline just suggested. There's a lot of protocols that she walked us through during the rec commission, including the 20 campers per pod and the stagger signing to divide the pods. So all things being equal, unless we hear otherwise on Wednesday on that webinar, following the protocols that were set out, unless they change, I think it's a great opportunity for the town to provide the AM and PM offer.
Any other member of council? All right, then. You have a yes, Carolyn. Very nice. Your next topic, continue.
Yeah. So this is a part 2, I guess, on the camp. We do have a vacant position that we would like to fill. It's our office manager. They basically manage communication with the families as well as our first aid person. So with your approval, we would like to begin advertising for this position. The hourly range is between $20 and $22 hourly. So with your permission, we can start promoting that position.
Let's go to our BA, Ms. Apertella. Any comments? Is it in the budget? Where would we stand with this?
Yes, Carolyn reached out to our CFO on the various camp positions, if they were budgeted and what the rates are. So, and he did confirm what those rates were. So all we needed was consensus from the governing body, and then Carolyn and I and Judy would work together in placing the ad in the paper, figuring out the timeline, and for Carolyn to conduct her interviews.
Okay, any member of council, Councilman Gaudier.
Thank you, Mayor. So just to confirm, this position has been budgeted for. So we've planned for this and it's necessary for the camp. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other member would like to ask a question or enter into discussion? Seeing none, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
I'll withdraw and let Councilwoman Montesano Khan make the motion.
Okay, I need a second though, Councilwoman Steed.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. We're open to debate. Is there debate? Hearing none. Roll call.
Councilwoman Steve,
Yes.
Councilman Tamika,
Yes.
Councilman Audier,
Yes.
Councilwoman Thompson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Montesano Cohen.
Yes.
All right, Carolyn, July 4th.
Thank you. So again, as you had mentioned, with the outdoor gatherings extended to 500, I was looking for your guidance and approval to perhaps move forward with some planning items for the 4th of July. I do believe a parade we can manage, but with all precautions that are provided by the CDC and the state, as well as perhaps doing a concert and maybe even a movie. We would even consider spreading these out into different nights so that it's not like a big festival like we have had in the past, to kind of just limit the amount of people in the park. I did listen to the governor's announcement today, and it did sound like for a festival, the whole park would be limited to that 500, no matter what activities were going on for that festival. So, we would definitely like to try and do something for our community. And then also on this list is possibly if we can proceed with the beer garden by the Knights of Columbus. I have spoken to them and we've kind of started to work out a plan on how to manage that with pre-registrations and spreading out the tables and limiting how many people to a table so that everybody's kind of in their own pod and they aren't mixing around like in previous beer gardens. Even limiting the line at the table. They would actually like walk around and give out beverages so that there's not too much gathering around the lines. But your guidance here and blessing on some of these items are appreciated.
Michelle?
I just had a question on the parade. If everyone's lined up as they normally are, all the way up and down Bogart and Continental, how does the 500 limit apply to that?
It does apply,
Do you know?
but
Yeah.
I mean, we would have to definitely designate, more spots. There's more planning involved as far as designating and limiting the groups. We'd definitely have our own plans in place and follow the guidelines. But there's a lot of vehicles involved, and I think those who are marching are able to wear their mask and they're able to line up, socially distance. We would mark the ground for each group. It would have to be carefully planned out, but I think it's definitely manageable.
And by that time, the guidelines might also have changed. I'd love for the council to allow them to move forward with planning without making firm commitments and see what happens in the next 2 to 4 weeks with the governor, because July 4th certainly gives us a little bit more leeway planning time. Carolyn, would that sort of compromise work, that we would begin, the planning and either at the next council meeting or the council meeting afterwards, we would firm up the parade?
Right. Yes, I do know that the Knights of Columbus have some fees attached to the various permits they have to get. So I don't know how that would leave them in the end if they needed to, cancel for whatever reason. But I could have them come to a next meeting. But they definitely need to, I think on their end, get the ball rolling as far as getting the permissions in place for their
Yeah.
beer garden.
Council President, I saw your hand up.
But I'm very reticent here. We've been taking baby steps. We did not allow a block party at the last council meeting because we recognized that a block party would lead to people without their masks, drinking alcohol. Once you start lowering your inhibitions with alcohol, everything goes out the window. Now, 2 weeks later, we're talking about allowing us to look at something that is going to necessarily involve thousands of people. People have been stuck in the house, quarantining, being very careful. If we as a town say, hey, we're going to have a big old party on July 4th, everybody's going to come out. Everybody's going to come out. You're going to have thousands of people there. If we're talking about the beer event, I'm a big fan of it. Okay, you can find me there every 4th of July. All right, but I also have to say that it's not going to be an event that is going to lead to us wearing masks and being socially distant. People in this town are all very friendly with each other. And after a year and a half of not seeing each other at a party like this, I can only see disaster, really. The governor could have opened things up more today. He chose not to. I don't know that anything's going to happen in the next 2 weeks or 4 weeks. Perhaps it will. And maybe we should revisit it at that point. I don't know that this is a good idea right now. And I don't know how we can tell some of these, how can we tell Liz earlier on, she's going to have to submit a plan that's a careful plan talking about social distancing, mask wearing, and all this. But we're going to plan a big old 4th of July blowout. So,
well, I think there are significant differences between the two events. I'd like to just go over those differences. First, we wouldn't have any control over a block party. We do have a control over the beer garden. First of all, it is you have to enter into it, and we could designate spaces just like a restaurant has to maintain distances between tables. Secondly, with the parade, we're not saying we'd do the parade right now. We're saying we'd consider it. The parade also we would have more control over. Would we go all the way down Bogart Road? Maybe we wouldn't. Would we? But people also would be coming outside their door, and we could mandate masks. Whereas, again, the block party, we don't have any control over that once it begins. We aren't going to have the police there. We're going to have the police at the parade. I'm not saying the parade should happen. I'm simply saying let's begin the preliminary planning. Third, we are already at 33% of the state being vaccinated. I think the Meadowlands today has vaccinated 500,000 people. Now, vaccinations may stall. I don't think they're going to stall as much in New Jersey as, say, in other states that, for whatever reason, people are refusing to do this. And as we've already pointed out, I think the people of River Edge have been basically responsible. So we control the route, we control the beer gardens, we control what nights it occurs on, we control the park. So we have positive control over all the events and can cancel them at a moment's notice. Whereas with the block party, once we give permission, we're not going to send the River Edge Police Department to control that. I'm not going to put our officers into that sort of situation. So I think there's I think they are very, very, very different events. And to a block party, saying come back to us at a later date is reasonable. But we have professionals. We have Carolyn and her team who will be working on it. We have the Rec Commission. We have a whole lot more authority, control, and power than we do with block parties. So in my mind, they're apples and oranges. Carolyn, did you want to say something? It looks like you do.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Just my thought here with this is to spread it out so that it's not like it was in our previous years, because normally it's like a big old party right after the parade. And that's something that obviously I don't think we're ready for that. But if we spread it out, so after the parade, you're not having this family festival where everybody's, in the park and all over. You have the parade, then maybe later you have that beer garden and it's pre-registration only. You could only enter if you pre-registered and you have a reserved table, and it's limited to, I think we said we would do like 8 per table. And you mark the areas. We have the field paint. We would mark out the areas, make sure they're 6 feet, basically just like a restaurant would.
How are you going to police that? How are you going to police that? I mean, look, with all due respect, okay, these are all friends in town. Okay, my friends, everybody, they're friends. Okay, you're introducing beer into the equation. After I have 4 beers and I see my buddy that I haven't seen in a year and a half, 12 feet away, who's going to stop me from going over and drunkenly hugging him? How's that going to work?
Yeah.
Councilwoman Batiste.
I'm going to give our residents more credit than that, Dario. I agree with the mayor that they have been very responsible. It's been very difficult, but I think that they've submitted a plan that is reasonable. It is going to be more like an outdoor Hackensack brewery or something like that lots of us have gone to and felt very safe doing so. So I agree with the mayor. I agree with Carolyn. I think that we should allow these plans to proceed. And as the mayor says, if we need to pull back, we pull back. But we're in a stage now where I think we're starting to feel hopeful and understand the responsibility we all have to each other. And I would hate to put a barrier up at this point. I think we should be moving forward.
Well, I want to respond to that. I believe that our residents are very responsible as well, and I'm not saying that they're not. I just think that when you introduce alcohol into a situation, things change, even with very responsible residents. And I don't see that residents are going to stay away from each other when they've drank a bunch of beers and they see friends that they haven't seen in a while. I use myself as an example because I'm just like everybody else. I believe that I'm responsible. But when you introduce a few beers, maybe my ability to be responsible is reduced. Perhaps I'm unique in that, but perhaps I'm not. And I think that there's a difference in planning, perhaps a parade and asking that everybody continues to wear masks, but I don't see how you're going to police that, even during the course of the parade, and planning something like a beer garden. And again, don't get me wrong, I love that beer garden. I think it's a lot of fun, and I look forward to it every year when we have our parades, but this is a different year. I haven't seen a lot here in New Jersey to tell me differently recently. As a matter of fact, from what I can tell, New Jersey is one of the highest states when it comes to COVID infection and COVID cases. And other states have reduced that, and New Jersey has not been able to recently. So, I get it. I believe in our residents. I love our residents. I'm friends with anybody I know. And I would like nothing better than to be able to proceed. I just don't think it's yet a good idea.
All right, let's hear from Councilman Kaufman or Councilman Montana Cohen or Councilman Guadier. Opinions?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I also struggle with this one. I'm okay conceptually with the 4th of July parade. I'm still having issues how we're going to police that and how much effort that will take, but I am okay with the commission to move forward with the planning for the 4th of July. With the beer garden, the same discussion we had, and I know you made your case about not being apples to apples, but I do think that based on the discussion we have about the block party, which we don't control, to your point, this one is a more difficult one for me to agree to. So I'm okay with the 4th of July conceptually, the parade moving forward on a planning phase. I have a lot of reservations with the beer garden being a sanctioned event by the board, by the governing body.
Okay, excellent. Councilwoman Kaufman or Councilman Gaudier?
Thank you, Mayor. I think one other thing we have to consider is by 4th of July, everybody is going to have the opportunity to become vaccinated. Very recently, Newbridge Medical Center started accepting walk-ins. Okay, so anybody who wants a vaccine can now get it, which is a lot different than it was, say, a month ago. By then, I'm hopeful that, you know, the vast, vast majority of our residents will be vaccinated. And given that, I think if we don't plan for it, it wouldn't be possible to do it 4th of July. So with that information, again, if we decided we shouldn't do it closer to the event, we could always pull back. It's my 2 cents.
Sure, Councilwoman Kaufman.
Just wondering, how much are the licenses that the Knights have to buy, and is there any kind of cancellation policy on those, and when do they have to be purchased by?
I am not sure the fees exactly, but I think by May 1st, he kind of like backtracked the phases, and I think by May 1st, he's got to apply for the first permit.
I guess
I don't know if Brendan is on as an attendee at all. I did tell him that I was presenting this evening. Brendan
Michelle, is she
Daly.
there?
No.
Just
All right.
Jackie and Neil Carroll are attending.
I also I was going to mention this in my comments at the end, but New Milford is now opened vaccines to River Edge residents, so our residents can now have preference in New Milford, and so I just because of the Newbridge, I forgot to mention that, and I realize it now. All right, well, Council President, go ahead.
I mean, since everybody's talking about the fact that everybody in River Edge is going to be vaccinated by July 4th, I'm going to remind everybody that people under the age of 16 are not going to be vaccinated by July 4th. And parents go home to children. So, you know, it could be an issue, you know, and I don't think that we can rely on the fact that everybody's going to be vaccinated by that date. It's hopeful, we hope, but.
All right, is there more debate, or should we put it to a vote?
Well, what are we putting to a vote?
So I think the council has given consent to the parade, but we can put that to a vote. The beer garden seems to be the sticking point. So the only thing we would put to a vote would be the beer garden, because it appears they have a May 1st deadline, and we need to give them a yes or a no. We can't be indecisive on this. Is that acceptable to council? Could I have a motion to either permit, or, well, it should be permit, because if it's denied, then there's a second motion that goes through. Anyone open to a motion to permit?
Permit what?
The beer garden.
The beer garden.
I make that motion.
Okay, is there a second? If there's not, then the motion dies.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Do we wish further debate? Hearing none. A nice loud roll call, please.
Councilwoman Steve,
Yes.
Councilman Kanuga,
No.
Councilman Gaudier,
Yes.
Councilwoman Houseman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Montesano Cohen.
No.
Right, because we are only 5 tonight on the council, it is approved. Now, please, for the public's benefit, if something should change, if the infection rate goes above, today it was, the governor announced it was under 1%, I think he said 0.9, New Jersey was moving in the right direction, then we would revisit this, even if a permit had been pulled. So I wouldn't want people, especially the Knights, who are a great organization, to not know that if things change, especially if the governor issued new guidelines, then those guidelines would be obeyed. All right. Memorial Day. This is not on your agenda, Carolyn, but if you could speak to Memorial Day, are there any plans other than what we did last year? Does the council think we could have a small outdoor gathering? What are your thoughts, Carolyn?
Yes, I did reach out to Ray Stitz and Peter Marion, who normally coordinate the day. I wanted to get their feedback, but in my opinion, I think we can do an in-person Memorial Day that's socially distanced. And so I think it is possible, if that's something that the council agrees to.
So there would not be a parade, right? This would just
No
be the
parade.
ceremony, and it would be by invitation only. Of course, the council would be all invited, and I believe it happens during the day, right?
Correct.
And the school is invited, and that would be under very strict controls, right?
The schools aren't involved in Memorial Day. That's Veterans
Oh,
Day.
okay.
You're thinking of.
Okay. So what is the council's thought? Should we permit a controlled, limited Memorial Day event without a parade?
Yes, I would agree with that.
Okay.
If we're
Anyone
gonna
else?
if we're gonna let a beer garden in, then we don't need to debate these things any longer. Okay, just let it all happen. Block parties, everything. Everything's a yes from now on.
Well, Council President, I understand your frustration with the vote, but
I'm not frustrated with the vote. No, don't put words in
I
my
don't think
mouth.
block parties are the same thing, but I get what you're saying. Anyone else?
Don't put words in my mouth, Mayor.
I think
No, you said block parties. I don't think we're allowing block parties. I think we're being prudent with that. I think that's a very different event.
Not at all.
I
So
do
there's no difference between a block party and a beer tent. Absolutely not.
All right. We'll agree to disagree. Anyone else in regards to Memorial Day?
I think we could do a small controlled Memorial Day that would also be on Facebook Live.
Yeah.
Good. Is there any objection? All right, then. So we're good with that. Is there any other new business? Is there any other old business?
Oh, wait, one moment. Carolyn also had something about senior programming.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry if I've taken over your meeting. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But yes, with the weather starting to look nice, I would like to provide some opportunities for some senior programming in the park. I did also speak with SCORE and hoping to work with them on a schedule also in the park. But I just wanted to see if by any chance the council would approve, since we have not used the funds from the rental of the temple from the first quarter, if at all that would be possible to use some of those funds to offset some costs for some programs that would include some fitness classes, maybe some vendors to come and do a music program to play like a piano and other types of educational programs at the park. We looked at the total funds, and that the first quarter came out to $4,750. So I just wanted to see if the council would approve utilizing those funds, since they were not utilized this year.
So let's go to our liaison first. Councilman Montesano Cohen, do you have any comments or thoughts in this regard?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, Councilwoman Kinsella is the new SCORE liaison, but I'm happy to. No, it's okay. I'm happy to provide my 2 cents
well,
here.
I was calling on you because you were rec and Carolyn was bringing it up.
Oh, okay, okay. I thought you were talking about SCORE.
Rec.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we tried in the past and there was no appetite. I think because of the weather changing. I think at least when I was score liaison, that was the issue. They didn't want to be outside because of the weather, and there was an issue of transportation as well that I don't know how we're going to solve for Caroline, but that was an issue before. So if it wasn't brought up when you discussed that with score, that was probably the biggest roadblock we had. I'm okay with using the funds, at least a portion of it, to offset any cost. I think the idea was, and correct me if I'm wrong, to go back to use the kind of rethinking the pavilion in the park, right? Something that we had told them and we had offered that to score. Registration needed and the COVID releases, all of the protocols in place. I would think that this is something that we should and could offer to the seniors again. Transportation, again, was an issue. I don't know if that's been an issue now, but we probably will have to solve for that.
Henry did mention that he was waiting for an update from the governing body on the status of the transportation, but I know he was trying to work out a system with him to help those who don't have smart devices to utilize Uber. So he was trying to work out some options for the members, but some of them, yes, would need some transportation.
I see Brendan is here now. Do you want me to move him over? Brendan Daly?
Brendan was in reference to what item?
Knights of Columbus, the beer garden.
I think we've resolved that issue. So let's stay where we are at. Let's stay with the senior programming. Councilwoman Montesano, did you want to say anything more as liaison to rec or former liaison to score?
No, Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Anybody else want to chime in or ask a question or make a comment?
I think it's terrific if we can provide an opportunity for the seniors to have programming run by rec and to utilize our park system to do that. So I think it's a great idea.
All right, I don't see debate, so I don't know if we should go to a vote or not. Is there any objection? Let me phrase it that way. All right, hearing none, we're going to, Carolyn, we have a consensus. Of course, Carolyn, as always, we expect rec to hold fast to all of the governors and the state's guidelines and the CDC guidelines, and to be cautious wherever the area seems gray. Okay.
Great. Yes, of course. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for your time. I'm sorry it took a lot of it.
No, that's okay. That's okay. So is there any other old or new business? Councilwoman Bastille.
Thank you. I'll be brief. The Girl Scout troop who had come before us a month or so ago to talk to us about their Silver Award project regarding the month of caring in May. They're going to be emailing Lizette Apertella with their request. I was hoping it would be here tonight, but it's not. So if I could just make the verbal request on their behalf and then follow up that they do send an email in writing. They're looking to utilize the parking lot adjacent to the library on 2 Saturdays in May from 10 to 2 to allow people to drop off donations of food and personal hygiene items for their project, May 15th and May 22nd from 10 to 2, both days. The reason they're coming to the council is obviously to get our approval, but they also like to add that to the advertisement for their campaign. I will remind them they need to send this as a formal request to the borough through the borough administrator, but if they do so, I'd like to just ask the council to consider approving it.
Okay, so is there debate or discussion? Councilwoman, there appears to be no debate discussion. Why don't you make a motion and see if there's a second?
I'd like to make a motion to approve that the Girl Scout Troop Silver Award project can hold 2 donation drives, May 15th and May 22nd from 10 to 2 in the parking lot adjacent to the library. They will make sure that all participants social distance and wear face coverings.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Is there any further debate? Hearing none. Roll call.
Councilwoman Liscano,
Yes.
Councilman Kaniga,
Yes.
Councilman Godier,
Yes.
Councilman Houseman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Montesano Cohen.
Yes.
Okay, is there any other new or old business?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I have one.
Sure, Councilwoman Montesano Cohen.
Thank you. During the last, Caroline is still on, good. The rec commission, the Little League came to the commission, Jean Blackman presented a proposal. Let me give background. During last previous meeting, we were alerted of some issues with the Little League that came into the South Field in Memorial Park without permit and started making some changes to the field. Lisette heard about that and work was stopped, and through our vendor, the field was put back into its original position and no liabilities on that area. So he was asked to formally request a permit to make these changes that they intended to do. So he presented the plan to the commission, which was voted unanimously after he extensively explained what it was. And I'll try to summarize, and Caroline, help me out if I miss something. So the idea would be to bring what they're calling base anchors to the field. These will allow the Little League to provide a more active baseball game, because it would allow them to steal, walk, things that they cannot do that with the measurements that the field has right now. So this will provide them with the techniques that they are only being able to learn outside River Edge. Their field is not conducive for that. There were a lot of questions asked about what that removable anchors were. I did have a question for him about the cost and the budget and where the money was going to come from. He informed the commission that it will come from the field maintenance budget, at which point I asked what was the total amount and what was soft costs involved. And he said that the total with labor would be $2,500 and that it could be done in one day. I didn't see any issues because it will give this opportunity to the kids to have a more active baseball games. It will allow the traveling team to host games in that capacity. So there seemed to be a win-win situation, and the costs seem that they have taken care of. Have I missed anything, Caroline?
No, that was a good summary. Just a little note, because they're extending the field to accommodate 60, 70, which is the older boys. So it's in between, it's the step before they go into the juniors. So it's like 10 to 12-year-olds. Currently, they were not able to play on our fields. So they were having a travel program just for those select individuals, and they would play all their games away. So with this opportunity, they would be able to include this age group for rec and be able to have more opportunities for more of the children in the community.
Okay, could I ask Ms. Apatella if she could speak to this issue?
Well, what the decision was for first Little League to present this to the Rec Commission, and then the next step would be for the governing body to determine whether they would like to invite Mr. Blackman to make the full presentation at the next council meeting.
Does this project fall under the requirement for multiple bids?
If it's 2,500, no, not even to solicit quotes because it's under 6,600. That's 15% of the bid threshold.
Okay.
I do
Are there
believe, Mr.
any
Mayor,
other-
that Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry, I do believe the
no,
commission
no,
did
go ahead.
ask him to get multiple quotes, even though it wasn't necessary. So
Okay.
that was a takeaway for Mr. Blackman to get at least 3 quotes in total.
Okay, good. So, Ms. Apatella,
Mhm.
it is something the council can consider now because the process is being followed, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so it's open to the council now for discussion and debate. Council President.
I mean, it sounds good, but I certainly would like to hear Jim, if he could come and present it to us so we can fully understand. We just got a snippet of it and I just want to, I mean, it sounds like something we should approve, but he should come before us and ask.
Anyone else? Is there any objection to moving forward as planned, that Jim would come before us, that this would be something we would consider? Is there objection? Hearing none, Carolyn, we're good. All right. Any Councilwoman Monsanto-Cohen, anything else?
No, Mr. Mayor, that's it. Thank you.
All right. Any other old or new business? All right. So we are now at public comment. Could I have, I don't know, so I keep track of who I call on, so I call on everyone equally. Could I have Council President Kaneko move and Councilwoman Bastide second to open to the public for any comments on any item?
So moved.
Good.
Roll call.
Councilwoman Bastide,
Yes.
Councilman Canito,
Yes.
Councilman Godier,
Yes.
Councilwoman Housman,
Yes.
and Councilwoman Montalbano.
Yes.
Okay, we are now open to the public. I surrender the meeting to Councilwoman Kaufman.
So if anyone has a question, just raise your hand and I will allow you to speak or type it in the chat box. I don't think there are any questions.
Could I have, let's see, Councilman Gaudier move and Councilwoman Kaufman second to close to the public?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilwoman Bastide,
Yes.
Councilman Canito,
Yes.
Councilman Godier,
Yes.
Councilwoman Hoffman,
Yes.
and Councilwoman Montalbano.
Yes.
Okay, we're up to council comments. Councilwoman Kaufman.
Just wanted to thank again our Citizens Budget Committee, our CFO, Chris Battaglia, our auditor, Jim Cerullo, our BA, Lisa Apatella, all of the council for their hard work on the budget. That's it.
Good. I wanted to call on her because I knew she wanted to thank everybody for the budget. Any other member of council wish to make a comment? Please raise your hand and you will be recognized. Councilman Gaudier.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll be brief. I would also like to thank everyone who worked so hard on the budget. I would also like to mention that the DPW has started putting up the new signs in the parks, and that should be done by the end of the week. Thank you.
Awesome. Any other member of council wish to make a comment? All right. I would just, again, I mentioned it briefly before that New Milford has opened its vaccination center to the residents of River Edge with priority. I'd like to thank Mayor Michael Petrino for all he's done to bring a vaccination center to New Milford and to grant River Edge priority vaccinations. I'd also like to thank Sam Yakovich, our health officer, and Arlene Faustini, our borough nurse, for coordinating with New Milford, as well as Ron Sturace, former Chief of Police and our current OEM director for working on this with the OEM director of New Milford, whose name I apologize, but I have forgotten. Any other comments before we end the night? Could I have a motion from anyone to adjourn?
So moved.
And a second. It's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 All right, everybody. Thank you and good night.
Good night.
Good night.